This is the Stockwell Eldridge Show, giving you the real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Don Eldridge.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Day when you are listening to this. We are airing right now, our recording, on Thursday, so it's Christmas week for us. And we have a great show for you today, and hopefully you get to spend time today with family. And if you have any questions or miss any segments, we'll go to tcrealestatehour.com or check us out on YouTube under the Stockwell Eldridge Show, or on Facebook. We'll have all the episodes there. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
And I'm Don Eldridge with RE/MAX Results.
We have a great show for you today. We have Ed Nelson. Very excited to have him on the program today with Minnesota Home Ownership Center. Ed, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me here today.
You bet, you bet. And we met. The reason I wanted Ed on is we reconvened a couple weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago at an event at a single-level living facility or a site for new construction in Richfield, and that got me thinking again about how much money buyers are potentially leaving on the table when they don't take advantage of some of the things that are available to them in Minnesota.
Exactly right.
And I just was excited about that, so we wanted to have Ed on. And then we have Chris Harrington.
Hello.
RE/MAX Results Realtor. Chris will be performing some live entertainment for us, being that it is airing here on Christmas Day, so some Christmas music.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
It's actually supposed to be a nice day on Christmas, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to rain.
It is frightful.
That is frightful.
I wonder if it will be raining. Now, this is the first time in my lifetime that it has rained on Christmas Day in Minnesota. And I'm 47, so that's a long time. That's almost half a century.
Wow.
That's a long time. Oh, my gosh. When you put it that way. But it's
That'll
crazy.
Yeah. Well, maybe
I don't mind it. It's
maybe
kinda
it
nice.
will all be snow. You never know. We'll know when this is on there. So, market update. What's going on in the market? Dawn, Chris, what are you guys seeing in the marketplace right now? Before we start that, I'll read just a couple things notes that I have. It says on Housing News, rising mortgage rates haven't slowed down the market, as purchase applications were actually up over 1% over last year, and demand for housing stays strong regardless of the interest rate. Existing home sales climbed in November to the highest level since early 2007. So there's a lot of activity going on, at least in November, and even now I'm seeing a lot of activity, even into the Christmas week.
Yes, buyers. The great time to buy. Less competition.
Yeah, you wrote an offer this week, didn't you?
Yep,
Two of them, right?
Two offers, yep.
Isn't that awesome?
Yep.
During Christmas week, and
Yep.
everybody's like, "Oh, just take a break."
One investor, and one first-time home buyer, a couple buying a duplex in South Minneapolis.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's and they love it because they don't have to compete with 5 other offers like they probably would if it were the springtime.
Yeah, if it's February, March, I think you're going to be competing, folks.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy next year, I think, especially first quarter. But Dawn?
Yeah. So according to the Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors, they also saw a huge change in closed sales, up 25% in November from this time last year.
Wow.
25% increase. That's insane. I've never seen those numbers.
Wow.
And new listings yet were down 1.1% from this time last year in November. And then median sale price, once again, up 5.8% from this time last year. We're now at $232,500. Last year we were at $220,000. That's a nice increase. But I've got buyers that they've gotten fully executed purchase agreements. We're through their inspection, their closing. It's been great. And one of them almost did end up in multiple offers, and I was surprised because the house was located in St. Louis Park, but it was by a freeway and railroad tracks. And
2 deterring factors,
Yep.
typically. Yeah.
And I kind of followed around, like when I was on my showings, I followed around another couple and their agent. We were all showing the same property, so
Oh,
we'd end
my
up in the
gosh.
same house. I'm like, I'll see you at the next
Because
house.
you're in the same price range in St. Louis Park around,
And there's not a lot out there.
Yeah.
So, but they almost wrote. I mean, I heard them saying, "Oh
Really?
my gosh, I love this house," and I'm like, oh, "We can't talk. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. We don't want to give her hat away." But
So Stephanie Havel will be joining us very shortly with Wells Fargo. Rates are still great. That's part of it. Everybody knows. I think it's very common knowledge right now that rates are going to be going up next year. Throughout the year, I just hope that they do it at a slow pace. like maybe let us get through the first quarter the way it is now, and then maybe do a little bit of a raise, and then go and do a little, a while, and then give a little bit. Because if you go too much too quickly, you might stall or shut down activity for a while. Where we want to keep that urgency going and keep people going in the marketplace. Single level living is a huge demand right now. We have some product for you. If you are looking for single level living, we can help you. Bloomington, Richfield, Roseville, and we can find other stuff too. But those are the ones that we are specifically helping right now with product that's available, built, and ready to move in. So call us if you have any questions about single level living. 651-400-0773, 651-400-0773. And we've said it over and over again before on previous shows. The early bird gets the worm. We've all heard that. The early seller gets the buyer or buyers. So going forward into next year as you do your New Year's resolution and you wrap up your holidays, or if you're in your house and you're thinking, you know what, it's time. We need that place to do a bigger holiday celebration. Or maybe we don't want to host anymore. We want to downsize and let someone else take all this over because this is a mess. This is a lot of work. But if you have any of those concerns or questions, call us. We'll give you a free evaluation, no cost, no obligation, anytime. Dawn, myself, or one of the team members will be happy to help you anytime. So, without further ado, Ed Nelson, Minnesota Homeownership Center.
Wow.
Welcome.
That's quite an intro. I should have you guys travel around with me.
Ed is so dressed up for holiday, folks. If you go to YouTube, check him out. He's got the coolest tie ever.
This is my Santa Claus tie.
Yes,
Love it.
love
Right,
it.
love
Great.
it.
Looks
My
aw-
Christmas tree.
Oh my
halfway
gosh.
sun.
How
Oh,
festive is that?
that's awesome.
And, I've got a face for radio, so I wasn't expecting the YouTube here.
Oh, we don't tell anybody before they come in because we don't want to make them
Get 'em all-
nervous. I'm just kidding.
I
do
tell
just fine.
everybody.
Oh, you do? Oh,
I
okay.
do.
Well,
Maybe I forgot
should
to
have
tell
put some
you.
makeup.
Sorry.
so Ed is with Homeownership Center. So when Minnesota Homeownership Center, and not you guys aren't. The reason we got on the radio or have you market here is even come to you came to the event that we had. It's not like you're known. I mean, everybody in the Minnesota doesn't. What's Minnesota Homeownership Center? I think maybe I've heard of. I mean, right? I mean,
Sadly, that's true. Back during the foreclosure crisis, when all we were talking about were foreclosures, we were a little more known because we did oversee the statewide response to the foreclosure crisis. And so some people still have us, pegged as that organization. But we've actually been doing homebuyer education and counseling in the state of Minnesota for about 25 years now, overseeing a network. A lot of times, many people don't know us as an organization. We're what's known as an intermediary organization. We're a HUD-approved intermediary organization. There's about 40 different nonprofit, governmental, and tribal organizations that work under our umbrella. So a lot of times, real estate agents or their lenders, etc., will know the organization that's closest to them that's under our umbrella and not necessarily know us. And we're fine with that as long as they can get connected with a nonprofit. But in a time where, like you guys were just saying, these properties, even during the Christmas holiday, these properties are selling, and the properties are going very quickly. The competition is very, very hard for our low to moderate income buyers. And so we want to make sure that they know about the services that we offer at the Homeownership Center to prepare buyers for successful, sustainable homeownership. I don't ever want us to get back into a situation where we saw back in 2002, 2003, 2004, where people like, okay, the prices are going up, the interest rates are going up, get in now, get in now, get in now. No. I think everyone needs to, especially when, this is maybe the largest purchase you will ever make in your life for many of the low to moderate income buyers. Everyone needs to just take a breath and know that there are people who will walk with you. There are nonprofit counselors, what we refer to as counselors or homeownership advisors, that will come alongside you and make sure that you know what you're doing, you understand all the terminology, you know what to sign, what not to sign. And also making sure that you're not just being swept up in the emotion. You saw that reaction there, Dawn, when your client's like, oh, I love this house and everybody loves this house. And all of a sudden your decision becomes one of pure emotion rather than emotion mixed with the head, with your head to make the right decision. And we want to make sure people make the decision with their head as much as their heart when they do step into homeownership. We also, sadly, in the state of Minnesota, one of the things that we're working on desperately, we have one of the greatest or the largest disparities in homeownership between white homeownership and non-white homeownership in the country.
Really?
And so we are the rate of African American homeownership, Hispanic homeownership, even Asian homeownership in the state of Minnesota is one of the worst rates in the country. And so we're working with organizations like yours, making sure we're spreading the word that there are programs, and I'll talk about that in our next segment.
Yeah.
Programs, helps, assistance that people can access to step into homeownership and do it the right way. We're starting to see some of what I call the vultures. We're starting to see some of the vultures come back into our market with lending products that just are not beneficial to the buyer, other alternative ways to get into homeownership that really do set buyers up for failure. And so we want to make sure that basically, I was talking to somebody before I was coming on the radio show here. We learned nothing from the crisis. As a culture, as a community, we learned nothing. We're starting to see all of these vulture products coming back into our market here now.
Wow.
And so we want to make sure people are protected and step up. You have to be your own best advocate. You guys do a great job. I listen to your show all the time. I've done other projects with the Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors with you. I've done lots of things like that. You guys are good people. There's just a lot of people in our industry, in this homeownership industry, that are always thinking about, okay, what's my next deal? What's my next deal? Rather than, okay, what's best for my client? What is the best decision? And sometimes telling a client, you know what? If you were to just wait 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, work with this nonprofit network that we know about, we can get you a much better deal. We can get you a much better product. When you think of mortgages as a product, we can get you a much better product if you were to just take a few steps ahead of time. Sadly, there's just not a lot of agents out there that are willing to say, hey, you know what? Let's work with somebody who can help you first.
Well, and they may not know. Agents may not know. That's why I thought it was great. We had about 35, 40 agents at this event. But the buyer comes to you. They want to buy a home. You help them. You're helping them buy a home. They go to a lender. You're not privy to all that information, that financial information necessarily as the agent. And when you were there with the colleague that you were with that was talking about numbers.
Yep, for Minnesota Housing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Minnesota. I was blown away. I'm thinking, how many people have just bought or are in the middle of an agreement right now that are leaving 5, 10, 15, 17, I don't know, thousands and thousands of dollars of either low interest or no interest or forgivable or some sort of format of a loan that could help them with their down payment, and they're struggling to find that, or the closing costs and all those things. So that's the stuff we want to get into when we get back.
Love to talk more about that.
Well, thanks, folks, for listening. We'll be back with more. This is the Stockwell Eldridge Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot with live entertainment, Chris Harrington.
Let it snow, let it snow.